This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you're feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a late night show, but I'm still doing work in the studio area trying to get things straight. You dig what I'm saying? So, it's taking a little bit of time, but Tony, what's up, my brother? How you feeling?
Hey Sam, shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. I'm good, man. The season's here.
Yeah, the season's here. The Knicks play their final preseason game, and no, they don't beat the Hornets in OT. They just beat the Hornets. So let me take that OT out of there. They beat the Hornets 113-108. Obviously, well, I don't want to say obviously. Not everybody played. I actually thought I thought this would be like a dress rehearsal. Didn't end up being a dress rehearsal. I don't want to say at all, but it didn't end up being a dress rehearsal. Jalen Brunson did play the entire game, not the entire game, but, played what would probably be his regular minutes, scored 31 points tonight. No Karl-Anthony Towns, no OG, no Mitchell Robinson. Were you surprised at that, Tony?
I was. But they had their injury reports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They all dealing with something. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like they were held back, even though they keep saying it's precaution. But you know what I mean? Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see this team play, their full minutes. See what they look like playing their full minutes. You know what I mean? Really anxious to see that. Not exactly sure. Well, I am sure when we're going to see it. We're going to see it next Wednesday. I wanted to see it before then, but hey, it is what it is now. Jalen Brunson played 33 minutes tonight. 31.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 48% from the field, 41.7% from three. It's looking like he's in good form. Mikal Bridges played 33 minutes tonight, 16.7 rebounds. Trey Jemison started at center for Mitchell Robinson. Diawara started at forward for OG Anunoby. Jordan Clarkson was in the starting lineup tonight. 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. I want to start off talking about, the stats of the game and whatever, really. You know what I mean? I want to start off talking about Diawara because the guy is active. He looks to me like an NBA player. He can play defense. He hustles. He's raw, very raw, but he's got talent. He's got speed. He can get up and down the floor. I feel like this guy could end up being in the rotation at some point this season. Now, I thought that about Dadier last year, but I think that even more with this guy. He just looks like he fits and belongs out there on the court with the players, the rotation guys. You know what I mean? What do you think, Tone?
I agree 100%. And not only that, like one thing that we was talking about with Dadier was he brings a dynamic that we're missing just in the fact of he has size, right?
Right.
But so does Diawara. You know what I mean? And he plays big. He uses his length. You can't really say that too much about Dadier. You know what I mean? So I think he's even more of an asset in that standpoint. We're lacking size. We're lacking size at that forward position behind OG. Everybody gets smaller and smaller as we go across the second unit. So yeah, I think he brings that dynamic. He is raw, but again, he plays big, which I like. He runs the floor. He filled the stat sheet without plays being ran from, just from his activity. So things like that, you know what I mean, you can't lose with. You know what I mean? Like, because you're not relying on him to do anything specific. And then he has time to grow into whatever he's going to become.
Yeah, he's a glue guy type of player. You know what I mean? He's going to hustle all over the floor.
I love to dive in for the loose ball.
Dive in for the loose ball. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like this guy belongs out there with rotation players. I really do. You know what I mean? Because he fits a need. And when you think about that second unit, Josh Hart, Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, Deuce.
Right.
Right. Who am I missing? That's it right now, right?
Damn it. You know what I mean? With assuming he gets the spot.
Assuming he gets the slot, we'll talk about that. Diawara fits with that group.
That's the tallest guy.
You know what I mean? He's got height. He can get up and down the floor. He can play some defense. You know, kind of fits with that group. With Shamit, we stay small. If you got Huck Porty or Diawara, we got more size. So, maybe it's Deuce and Hart and Yabusele and Clarkson, and then that fifth guy is whatever you need that night. Maybe that's the way it's going to go. I don't know. But I think Diawara should be out there playing with these dudes, man. I think he just adds something out there for us. I think he really adds something. He started tonight, right? As mentioned, started tonight. 8 points, 7 rebounds for Diawara, 3 assists, 2 steals. They'd have 3 turnovers, but he's filling up the stat sheet. Played 20 minutes, filling up the stat sheet off of hustle plays. He's 3 for 7 from the field. I feel good about this guy, and Dadier. I was rooting for you, kid, but I think that might be a done. I think Diawara is going to be out there.
And no minutes for Dadier, correct?
No minutes for Dadier. And Dadier was the one who was starting at the beginning of the preseason when OG was out. Dadier was starting. And maybe Mike Brown just wants to give guys looks. But I do think it says something because Dadier didn't touch the floor tonight.
Same with Matthews, which I think was telling signs because Mike Brown said he wanted to get as close to, granted everybody wasn't available, but as close to what his rotational minutes and rotation would be. So I think the fact that those guys didn't play and he did, you know what I mean, is and Shamit did, you know what I mean? I think that's meaningful.
Yeah. I never thought Matthews was going to make the team. You know what I mean? Not over, especially with, we'll talk about Brogdon, but, Brogdon was there. Shamit, now with Brogdon gone and Shamit there. Shamit's, he was on the team last year. He's comfortable with the guys. Matthews would have really had to play him, superbly outplay him, in my opinion, in order to get the spot. I just don't see that he'll. I don't see him getting the spot over Shamit.
Here's what I'll say. He gave himself a chance. You know what I mean? Like he didn't play himself out of a shot. You know what I mean? Like and then Shamit had the advantage or has the advantage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with the history of playing with these guys already. So I think he does have an advantage, but
Right.
I like what I saw from Matthews. He hit his shots. You know what I mean? Like he did what he was known to do, and didn't disappoint in that aspect. I guess the real thing did he show anything more? You know what I mean? More than being just a shooter.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because Shamit was in the playoffs with this team last year, right? And he gave you okay, Tony Starks is wilding again. It's new season, new Tony Starks. Crazy idioms coming across the screen. like what we doing right now? Tripping out. Um anyway, Shamit's been with the team. He was in the playoffs, played some meaningful minutes in the playoffs. Matthews, no. So I think it's Shamit's spot to lose in that aspect when you talk about between him and Matthews. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's Shamit's spot to lose. Um so I think Shamit gets that role. I think Shamit gets that spot. Now that Brogdon is gone. But let's talk about Brogdon. He retires. It's a little bit upsetting for me. We talked about it earlier. Why couldn't he have known this before? You dig what I'm saying? Like we wasted time on him, in my opinion. There could have been other people out there that we gave a shot to, that we had in training camp. We wasted time, and wasted an opportunity for somebody else. And I think all of
There's
us could see it early. You know what I mean? We could see it early that it wasn't there. He was slow. I'm looking at him on the court like, bro, you can't get up and down the court. You know what I mean? So from what I saw, I was, in my brain, I was like, his brain, his IQ for the game is what we needed, but his body just didn't have it. You know what I mean? Yeah, Tony's about to say something.
um, I think that's probably part of the reason why. Like, I agree with you because we talked about this. Like, he took up a roster spot potentially for somebody else who could have fought for the position,
Right,
right?
right,
Um,
right.
but the word was we gave Ben Simmons an offer, he declined. Maybe that offer was non-guaranteed. You know what I mean? There was alleged interest in Westbrook at times,
Mm,
but that quickly got squashed.
mhm.
Maybe it was a non-guarantee. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why he accepted a non-guarantee to try to see where he was physically. You know what I mean? Physically, and you know what I mean? Like it could just be the business part, but it does suck that I was rooting for him, you was rooting for him. We
Was rooting
thought we
for him.
had a clear cut backup behind Brunson. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and now we you know what I mean, we don't get to see somebody showcase their talents and fight for that spot.
Yeah.
But
It's
it could be a blessing in disguise.
could
We
be.
don't got to trade somebody right now. We can still hold on to these young guys and continue to develop them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he couldn't have found that out in the summer. Run some games with some NBA guys. See, can he keep up? Like,
It
you can
might have
figure
been
it
the
out.
Mike Brown practices. You can't replicate those practices.
I mean, that's true. That's true. I don't know. He knew. He knew.
And I don't know if you recall, but when JJ Redick retired, right? That was what he said. It was the training camp that made him realize it was time. You know what I mean? It was that the rigors of that, and then do I want to go through this? You know what I mean? This whole season, and so sometimes you don't know until you know.
I mean, that's true. That's true. He's 31. He's 32. Jordan Clarkson is 33. He's 32 years old. You know what I mean? And his, at least basketball wise, his body, maybe there's something deeper than we know as far as injuries. I'm saying, you know what I mean? It's 31.
And they've been chronic.
They've been chronic injuries. True. You know, but yeah, he looked slow. He, he didn't look like he could contribute to the team. In my opinion, so probably I'm sure it's for the best. East Blue Juice said, "Nah, for real, he wanted that Abu Dhabi trip." I mean, it was a free trip, right? Free trip, free. You don't really have to pay for much. Not that he didn't have the money to pay for it, but listen, I wish the best for him. Wish the best for him.
And better now than mid-season.
Very true. Very true. Better now than mid-season. Very true. Anthony D said, Clyde retired at 32. This is a different time, though. I mean, that's, we're talking with Clyde, we're talking in the 70s. Medicine, all that stuff was nowhere near what it is now. Right? Therapy, all that kind of stuff is nowhere near what it is now. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I mean, it's amazing what's out there right now. But hey, it is what it is. He's gone. He's no longer a New York Knick, or if you want to say he was a New York Knick, I don't know. No longer a Knick. Right? No longer a Knick. Brunson played 33 minutes. Mikal Bridges played 33 minutes. It was down the stretch of the game. Those guys are still out there on the floor. Did you have any concerns, thoughts, worries? Like, hey, why are they still in the game? Get them out the game.
Not really, because if it was the full squad, you know what I mean, and the thought was play this like a dress rehearsal, you know what I mean, then that's kind of what we would have expected anyway, right?
Right.
So I think not really. Yeah. It wasn't like they was playing in the end of the game, but they was playing all game long too. It didn't get no breaks. You know what I mean? Like these guys really, the rotation was rotating. You know what I mean? All game long.
Okay, I'm gonna say this because I just feel like I want to say it. Right? If Tom Thibodeau had Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges out there at the end of this preseason game, we would have came into this chat and everybody would say he needs to be fired right now before Wednesday. There was no reason for them guys to be out there before somebody. You see what happened to Josh Hart. There's no reason for them guys to be out there at that time. You know what I'm saying? And
anybody who wants to argue that for Brown, you know what I mean? I think it's fair. I'm just saying, me personally, you know what I mean? I wasn't too concerned.
Yeah, personally, I don't have a problem with them being out there. You know what I'm saying? And letting them get a taste of, a little bit more high energy type of game, because it was a little more high energy down the stretch as they just were playing. You know what I mean? You need it to get ready, to get your mind ready, to get your body ready. You know what I'm saying? You need it. Injuries can happen anywhere, anytime, in my opinion. That's the way I feel about it. The guys got to play basketball. As a matter of fact, if you're not playing basketball, I think you risk injury even more if you're not playing. You got to play so that you can be ready. So I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted to say it because I knew I wasn't going to see it in the chat. But if Tom Thibodeau was out there and did it, we would have seen it in the chat. So that's the way. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I know what we would have heard or what we would have saw. You know what I mean? I know what we would have saw. Anyway, share your opinion. 516-362-5212. I want to hear what you think about what did we see this preseason? Right? What did we see? What are you expecting when the season begins? You know, what did you see this preseason, Tony? It's been a little bit of a hodgepodge for me, and I'll explain that. But you know,
from game one, the biggest thing that I've noticed that I could say didn't change throughout the whole preseason, and I'm continue to say it. It feels like Deuce is gonna have his best year. It feels like Mikal is gonna have a great year. Like it feels like those two guys, for the most part, are gonna benefit the most from this coaching change. Over the course of the preseason, I felt like Brunson has gotten a lot more comfortable, especially tonight. You know what I mean? A lot more comfortable in the new system, right?
Right.
And you had asked me something before we went live, and I didn't even get a chance to answer because we started talking about something else. But you started asking me about the Brogdon thing, like what we're gonna do in his absence or whatever with him retiring. And what I've noticed is, especially tonight, it's not so much. It's all right. You heard Karl-Anthony Towns talk about how the adjustment of him playing the four under Mike Brown, and because he wants his fours to know all five, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 position. I think that is telling. Like you could see that with all the guys bringing up the ball. Yabusele like bringing up the ball. Karl-Anthony Towns bringing up the ball. So I think by committee, the ball is going to be out of Brunson's hands more. You know what I mean? It's going to be in his hand when we need it to be. But I think everybody's going to be bringing up the ball. You know what I mean? Maybe not Mitchell Robinson, but if you play in the 4, if you're that interchangeable 4-5, you know what I mean? You're going to be bringing up the ball as well.
Right.
So I think that's another thing that I've noticed. Like everybody brings up the ball at any particular time. You know what I mean? I seen Diawara bringing up the ball a couple of times. So it's like it's part of the system. You know what I mean? Like, and that per se is saying we don't need a backup point guard. You know what I mean? Like because it's almost like point guard by committee, even with Brunson on the floor, which is a big change.
Yeah, it's nice having it done with Brunson on the floor because now all the pressure is not always on Jalen Brunson. You know what I'm saying? In the past, the pressure's always been on Brunson to get the ball up the floor. I'm still not as confident with our ball handling. I feel like, you know, in a preseason game like this, you may not be getting much full court pressure, right? People aren't pressuring up. I'm still afraid. Okay, Clarkson can help, right? Deuce a little, but in that first lineup, I'm still afraid that when we get pressure, the ball will be taken. And I'm going to give you an example. Right in preseason, the Knicks were playing the 76ers. You had your regular starting lineup out there. Mikal Bridges brought the ball up the floor. What's his name from Philadelphia? Put some pressure on him. Kelly Oubre put some pressure on him and took it from him. You know, that quick, that easy. Put pressure on it, took the basketball. You know, that's what I'm afraid when the season gets going. Maybe not right from the beginning and not right from the first quarter, but in the fourth quarter. When
but I think
pressure is high, third quarter, fourth quarter, when the pressure is high, okay, let's put some pressure on these guys because they only got one ball handler out there. They only got one ball handler. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, no Brogdon. In crunch time, when teams are bringing that kind of pressure, you might see some more Jordan Clarkson out there on the floor, maybe some Deuce. Uh, you know, I don't know. I'm still a little concerned about that part of it.
I'm looking at it. I mean, I see where your concern is coming from. I'm just looking at it from the aspect of we got through it already, right? In the past, right? Like it wasn't like it wasn't a strength, but it wasn't like a detriment per se. I mean, I
Well,
guess you could
I
call it
think
a
in the
detriment
conference
too.
finals, I think in the conference finals,
Yeah, it in that series, 100% it was,
because there was a team.
and I think, but I think again, we're a better team now, better equipped, right? Even Mikal, I think, even though he's the guy you reference, I think he's gotten more comfortable here. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? He definitely brought the ball up and was the primary ball handler in his stint in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So it's still like a learning curve. But the more you encourage it, the more you implement it throughout the year, I think these guys get better. They figure out
We'll get better. We'll get
their
better.
niches in it. So
Mhm.
I think it's a good test to continue to do now, so that in the playoffs, as a team, we're comfortable. You know what I mean? Like we'll still have the guys who are better at it than others, but it wasn't something we would like. Guys was under pressure in that Indiana series. Like and honestly, we was kind of under pressure in the first series too, against the trade.
Yeah. You know,
But the fourth quarter, that's Brunson's. That's still gonna be Brunson's time anyway.
that's going to be Brunson's time no matter what. We know that. You know what I mean? That's going to be Brunson's time. Um, it concerns me a little bit though. It concerns me. Payback Carter had a question. He said, Sim, how do you feel about the size of this team, not depth wise? So, I'm assuming he's saying like the length of the team, that type of size. I mean, when you look at the starting lineup, we have good size in the starting lineup, right? You got Brunson, and then there's Bridges, OG, Towns, Mitch, right? That's good size out there on the floor. The second unit, I think it's going to depend on who is that fifth person in the second unit. Right now, you have Deuce, you have Clarkson, you have Josh Hart. All of these guys are about the same height. Deuce maybe a little bit shorter, right? I think Hart is 6'4", Clarkson is 6'3", Deuce like 6'2", right? And then you have Yabusele who's 6'8". Now who are we going with the fifth person, if you're going to have a fifth person? Right now, obviously the lineups are going to be mixed. So with that group, you may have Karl-Anthony Towns out there, which adds to it. You may have OG, which adds to it as well. But this is where I do think Diawara could come in. You might have Mitch out there. This is where Diawara could be. You could have Huck Porty out there, right? But I think this
I
is
was
where
gonna say
Diawara could lend a hand because, he's how tall is he? How tall is he?
Diawara,
Yeah,
at least 6'9", at least 6'9".
yeah, right. At least 6'9". I'm about to check in a second. Um, but to have a guy that height who can handle the ball every once in a while, I don't know how much you're gonna allow him to handle the ball in tight situations. He's 6'9", 225 in tight situations if he's out there on the floor, but that's a good he adds to the length and to the size of this basketball team. Now, if you're out there with, the four main rotation guys coming off the bench and then Shamit, you're going to be pretty small. But it probably wouldn't be that way anyway. They're going to mix the lineups to make sure that you have a good size out there on the floor, decent size. So we do have enough players to mix and match to make sure we always have size out there on the floor. I'll say that.
I agree. I think we don't have margin for error. You know what I mean? God forbid somebody has to sit down for a little for some time. You know what I mean? It could be a detriment then, but
Mhm.
healthy, I think we have enough size to push in and out. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned with Huck Porty,
Right.
somebody's in foul trouble, whatever. He could step up and play a extended 15 minutes in the game. You know what I mean, for that particular game and hold it down.
Yeah.
I think, like you're saying, Diawara, he becomes very important. You know what I mean? Somebody to spell OG. You know what I mean? Where Mikhail doesn't necessarily have to move up a slot and his job becomes harder
Yeah.
and things like that. So I think those two are the key dark horses, Huck Porty and Diawara, to
Mhm.
kind of fill in little gaps
Little
throughout
guy.
the year.
How do you feel about Jemison?
I really like him. He's a two-way guy. I think I like his energy out there. He doesn't seem to make a lot of mistakes. It's funny how ever since Brown mentioned his verticality, he
Mhm.
jumping straight up. It's been standing out to me in possessions. You know what I mean? Like, and he got that block today. You know what I mean? Doing that. I really like him.
Yeah.
How old is he? 24?
I'm not sure. I don't really even know
Like
much about.
I don't know how old he is. I know I remember him. I don't know if it was a game against us because I think he played for the Lakers, but or one of the teams. He's played for a couple teams. One of the teams he played against us on. He had a good game, and I remember them championing him as a young guy, undrafted. You know what I mean? Just plays the right way. He reminds me of a young veteran. You know what I mean? Like he reminds me of like when Taj Gibson came in and gave that, you know what I mean, whatever's needed from you. You know what I mean? In an emergency. But he's younger than one of those guys. But he reminds me of one of those old school guys that just comes
He is.
in, does his job, you know what I mean? Don't really make mistakes, plays his
Right.
role,
That's
talks on
exactly who he
defense.
is. He's 25 years old, 6'10", 270. This is his third year in the league. He played for the Pelicans for a couple of seasons. Now he's, on the Knicks preseason team. We'll see where things go from there with Jemison. You know, the Knicks may need some more size. So, we'll see if he ends up being on the roster or not. We'll see if he ends up being on the roster.
definitely a fifth. He's definitely a 15th guy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's very rare that you could find a young guy, like relatively young, 25-year-old guy that brings you the attributes of a seasoned vet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
So he reminds me of a young veteran.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to make a comment too. Kalans. He said the shoot around in question marks. Yeah, shoot arounds. We shoot around topics, right? Not really as structured as maybe you might. Well, I'm not saying you, but not as structured as some other shows. We shoot around topics and just talk about topics. Now where it started is this used to be the show that after we do the pregame and postgame, the day of the game, we do a shoot around. We do the shoot around the day after the game, the morning after the game. Schedules have changed. We'll see if we're able to pick it back up, but that's where it kind of started. Alon. So just to give you a little bit of history of the show. You know what I mean? 516-362-5212. Give us a call, ladies and gentlemen. So we can I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear what you think about the upcoming season, what you think about, what you've seen throughout this preseason with the Knicks. The one thing I have noticed is the team really focusing on the offense and playing
spray
with speed.
threes.
Yeah, yeah, hit the paint, spray, but playing with more speed, more tempo. You know what I'm saying? Making quick decisions. Not too many dribbles. Right? If you're not, it's almost like they have if you didn't get to the rim in 3 dribbles, get it out your hands. You know what I'm saying? Let's move it on to the next person. And so you're seeing that the ball pop that way, pop, 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 pop before a shot goes off. Or if you're gonna take a shot, take a quick one. Get your shot up. Don't play around with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way that we want it. That's the way that you want. That's the way you want it to look. Right? You don't want. I don't want to say you look. You don't want it to be that you are standing there watching somebody else dribble. Then you run back down the court. You know what I'm saying?
Which we did a lot of last year.
We did a lot
years past.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right now, it's everyone's in the flow. So everyone's moving, everyone's cutting, the ball is popping. It's not perfect yet. Obviously, it's early. It's not perfect. So, there's still a lot of work. There's still a lot to work through. Jalen Brunson is getting comfortable though in the offense. And once he gets really comfortable, I think he's gonna kill. You know what I'm saying? When he really gets comfortable because of the speed that we're playing with. And he lost some weight or dropped some fat, picked up muscle to help his speed so that he can play in this style of an offense. So, there's going to be some bad shots and some bad turnovers. It's going to happen. But hopefully as time goes on, people start to understand their shot selection. The chemistry grows, and so there's not as many turnovers, and things that look smooth when we're playing with speed and pace, which will force other teams to play with that speed and pace, and maybe they're not going to be able to play that way. But I do see the theory behind what they're trying to do, and hopefully it's going to work. Hopefully it's going to work. And
I got a question for you.
I seen moments. Cool. I seen moments when it looked really, really nice. The ball pop, boom, boom, boom. Someone gets an open shot. Then there's moments when maybe we're still trying to move it, but it's maybe not the right pass, or there's still a little bit of clutter because they're not comfortable with it and used to it, and the chemistry isn't there. But you can get the idea. You can see what's happening, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Hopefully they stick with it. You know what I mean? When the pressure picks up, they don't fall back into old habits and they continue trying to make the new habits go. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Tone.
To add on, you know what I mean? With the turnover theory, I agree those will go up. Some overpassing we'll see with the emphasis on spraying it out. We seen Brunson turn down a wide open shot and turn the ball over looking for I think it might have been Yabusele or Bridges in the corner. So we're gonna see that, but I think that all gets cleaned up. My question for you: we talked about Brogdon retiring, the backup point guard, early in this off season or preseason. We with the speculation or rumors of trading one of the young guys, a lot of our preference was for Kolek to be the guy moved, you know what I mean? Even though, then we talked about how Dadier opened up 2 spots down the line, but for Kolek, you know what I mean? Has your perception, I think he had a bad summer league, you know what I mean, by all standards. I think maybe had a good game at the end. But I think he turned it up these last 2 preseason games. One could argue that he might be the reason Brogdon retired, because he definitely outplayed Brogdon in that last game Brogdon played, and had a phenomenal game. But what's your thoughts on Tyler Kolek? I know we were low on him, a couple weeks ago. has your perception or your thoughts on him changed at all?
Not really.
Especially with him, maybe even being more needed than we, originally thought.
He may be more needed. He may be more
Or
needed.
have more opportunity. Let's say that.
He may have more opportunity. I just want to see it consistently in an NBA regular season game. You know what I'm saying? I gotta see it there just more consistently. And can he hold his own defensively? Now he's intelligent. He's got a high basketball IQ. So if you're using a zone, I think he can execute a zone. You know what I mean? And then of course that's the way that you can hide his flaws and all of those things. So I'm not gonna say I don't like him, but I'm waiting to see. Because he could be the answer to that second unit as far as having an orchestrator out there or just another person. He's going to get some playing time here and there throughout the season anyway. He may not be a rotation guy, but he'll get his chances to prove himself, I think. You know what I mean? There's a ways to go for him, but with Brogdon going, he'll get his chance. He should get his chance. Let me get to a phone call.
He seems like he seems tough too.
He's tough. Yeah, I think he is tough. Tough-minded. Yep, he's tough. Get to a phone call here. On the line, we got my man Silk. Silk, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, what up, Sam? What up, Tony? How y'all guys doing?
Good. Chilling, man.
Peace, family.
I guess you were right. You said Brogdon looked old after that last game. I was trying to keep hope that maybe he was just pacing himself. But
he was pacing himself right out the door. He was pacing himself, all right.
Let me ask you a question, sir.
Yeah.
What do you think did it? Because I saw, the podcast Objective Knicks fan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I saw one of his shows about a week or two ago when Preseason first started, and one of his chat guys came on there with a slick comment calling Brogdon the Mamba quitter. Which team is he going to quit on now? Now, wow. I don't think he quit. I know that's cold. I don't think he quit, but I think after that last game when he couldn't get by people, and he's prideful, and he probably came here thinking he's going to get like 15 to 17 minutes per game. And he's probably seeing other guys on the team playing better than him.
Yeah.
I think he just woke up and said, do I really want this? Because it's weird. They did a video of a moving truck moving him to New York, and then the next day he quit. Well, he retired. I ain't going to say quit.
Yeah.
That's cold.
So let me say this. There does come a time when you just know, okay, I need to play in the 40 and over league now. You know what I mean? Like, you just know.
At 32.
I mean, he found out at 32.
Yeah, all he had to do was play one more year. He would have got his full pension. That's what really. All you had to do is one more year.
I mean, but there comes a time, and it normally happens like out there on the court. I'm 49 years old. There came a time in like my late 30s when I was playing, and I was bringing the ball up the floor, and on a men's team, and my coach was like, "Go past them," and like the kid is defending me is like 21, and I'm trying to go past him, and I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like every step I take, he's right there, and I can't get past him. And you realize like, damn, like my foot speed really did slow down. You know what I mean? And you start to realize it about yourself, and you start to understand where you should be playing. You know what I mean? And it was at that point that I said, let me go to the older league. Let me stay away from these 18 to 25, 28-year-old guys because they play a different style of game than I play now. You know what I mean? I need to go play a game that's a little more slow-paced with guys who lost a step just like I did. So, Brogdon probably realized that.
Yeah, and I think my man Mo took Daddy's spot, even though I don't think they're going to make any trades tomorrow, because I think they're going to leave that last spot open. especially when teams trying to gut us by making us give up a second round pick to trade one of our young guys. And Rose ain't doing that. So I don't think that. I think they're probably going to hold on to Dade to the trading deadline and then see what they can get from him after they try to build up some of his potential then.
Yeah, Mo just might have taken that spot.
He just does more ball handling. Not hesitant when you got a chance to go to the lane. Like that fake, I'm gonna do a lob and then finish at the rim. Not he wouldn't have did that. He would have stopped and handed it off. He would have been that aggressive.
He plays more. Young kid, he plays with more confidence. Not afraid to make a mistake. You know,
and he plays his size, like the coach said. Dade don't play his size. Mo plays his size.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna trade nobody. I think they're gonna leave that spot up because you see it. They made 34 minutes for Brunson and McCall to play the bench. They need more ball handling. One of those guys is gonna play with the bench a little bit longer. You gonna say he mismatching him with Clarkson, him with Deuce, both McKell and Brunson. He mixing those guys with those guys to see who can roll with them. So, and wait till we get Hart back with the bench. He's gonna be running gun on that team with the bench. They're gonna be running up and down.
Yeah.
So, and I could see Jemison, Huckporty playing time with Brown on this team because I don't think Brown's gonna play Cat and and Robinson every game if they were healthy. I think he's gonna actually give them days off, and some of those guys probably gonna get some games in the regular season start.
Oh yeah,
Jemison,
yeah,
Huckporty.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true.
So
that's true.
We're gonna see. Well, yeah, I caught that. Yeah. You were right, Tim. Brogdon looked old. And he even saw, at the end of the day, he saw it himself.
He felt
so let me get my AARP card and get the hell out of here.
Well, you can get an AARP card without being old. I just want to let people know that. Like, you can, if you're 25, you can go out and get you an AARP card and get discounts. So.
Well, I know. They try to send it. I hit 45. So. I tried to get the letters in the mail from them. Yeah, we do like we got to run good score. And you're right. As soon as Brunson knows his spot, like I said, he needs games to play. When he looked shaky those first two games in Abdul, he needs rhythm. He needs to play off, and he needs to be banging around guys. And Sexton brings it out of him because Sexton be banging him back, saying, "Oh, you gonna bang me in preseason like regular?"
Yeah.
So Brunson needs somebody to be banging him to get his anger up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's when he plays his best ball.
Colin Sexton would have looked nice with this basketball team. Obviously, we wouldn't have had the money for him.
Nah, he got too much. His contract's too high.
Yeah.
And he like 12 or 15 million a year, something like that.
I'm not sure, but he would have fit nice coming off the bench.
Yeah, he a New Yorker type player. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, fans would have loved him.
True.
Fans would love him.
I heard somebody say. I heard somebody in on the Knicks Times show. I just left those guys. They said trade Clarkson for Sexton. I'm like, come on, we can't get rid of Clarkson. They want to do that already.
Let them get in here and see what's gonna happen, man. You know what I mean?
I know. I like Clarkson, especially if you play with Brunson, because you ain't gonna be able to leave Clarkson alone and be triple teaming Brunson with Clarkson out there, because he will put it up.
Right. Oh, he's gonna put it up.
Yeah. So we're gonna see
Brunson or no Brunson.
Right. Exactly. Brunson and no Brunson. He's putting it up. He without a conscience, whatever.
Let me ask one question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Yabusele in this fast-paced game because Philly didn't run up and down like we're gonna do. How long you think it's gonna take for him to get in his rhythm?
I'm not worried about him because it's gonna depend on your spots on the floor and if you have a structured transition offense, it doesn't always become about how fast can I get up the floor. It becomes about the spacing and where you go when you get up the floor. You may have a couple of guys who have to run up the floor fast, right? But depending on where you are defensively, you may be stopping at the 3-point line. So you may be going from 3-point line to 3-point line. So if he's guarding a 4 that is a 3-point shooter, right? He may be going from one 3-point line to the other 3-point line, or from one 3-point line to the box. So it's not like he's going baseline to baseline. Or if he's under the basket and the ball gets outlet, he may be stopping at the top. He can shoot the three. He may be stopping at the top of the key. So he may be going from the box to the top of the key. You know what I mean? So, in transition, it can be also just about spacing, timing, and knowing where to be on the floor. Now, it may look like the ball gets up really, really fast because people are in the right spots. So the ball can be passed up to the right spot. And so the ball can get up the floor within seconds. But if you're able to go to the right spots, you can reduce the get the endurance part of it, getting winded going up and down the floor because, you landed in the right spot. So I don't think he'll have a hard time.
Okay. And is it me, or does Brunson's defense look way better? This switching and his quarter zone that Brown be playing on defense.
He looks even faster out there too. He's in better shape, so I think he looks faster too. And if you're faster, I think that's going to help you defensively.
And he grabbed no rebounds, snatching rebounds. Like,
the portions of zone that they're running is helping. I think that's helping them look better defensively.
Yep.
Right, they ain't got to fight over picks and rolls. They switch, and then it's quarter zone angles. They ain't getting right in front of the guy, so the guy can blow past them. Like they always got somebody on the side to help out. If somebody try to drive past you, why can't Tibbs do that? Why would Tibbs throw something?
Tibbs would not play a zone for anything. I don't know what. I don't know.
He'd have to leave an old school man to man, I guess.
There's old school mindset. He didn't want to play a zone. I begged for it for 4 years.
We play Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
All right.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wednesday and Friday.
You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for it, baby. I'm ready for it.
7 p.m.
Catch on the post call. Catch on the post game.
Yes, sir. So, appreciate you, bro.
All right, fellas.
All right. All right, peace.
Peace, man.
Yeah. Give us a call, ladies and gentlemen, 516-362-5212. We would love to hear your thoughts on the preseason and what we should be expecting in the regular season, as we're just upon a regular season. Game 1, Wednesday, versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're starting off with a bang.
Did OG only play the one game? No, he played 2.
Yeah, I think he played 2.
He played 2. He came out the second game because he missed the first one on fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think he was like 4 for 5 from 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really recall the third game, but I don't think he played after that.
Any concerns?
No.
You have any concerns about OG? Or anyone that,
I mean,
cautionary reasons.
I honestly, I think Mitchell Robinson's the only one that they're being cautious with. I think OG's I think that's legit. Whatever he's going through and Karl-Anthony Towns, I think Mitch might be the one that they just all right, we're gonna take every precaution possible all year long.
Right.
I'm not the only thing that concerns me is I know we're deep, we got depth, so we could kind of mix and match as time goes on. But even this whole preseason and training camp, we haven't been whole. You know what I mean? So it's Hart playing the first game and being out since then, he's got to get reacclimated. Brown's got to kind of figure out where he fits and who fits with him and things like so. I think the chemistry is going to take a little bit longer the more we're not 100% whole. Right. But I guess you can look at it from both angles. Maybe guys get opportunities that they may not have gotten if we were whole to kind of know where they could fit on the back end of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's all gonna balance out by the end of the year. And I'd much rather be whole at the end of the year than than now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and that's definitely the
but
truth. And you know, we're losing you, Tony. Like,
my bad.
chop your head off.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
And I do think Mike Brown is very, very conscious of making sure that our guys are ready for the end of the season, for the playoffs. Right, their bodies are fresh still for the season. So when you talk about using the roster, it may not have to be all in one game, right? But throughout the season, saying, okay, you know what? We're gonna rest Mitch for a game or two. We're gonna let Jemison play, or Huck Porty play. We're gonna rest OG and we're gonna let Mo play. So I think that may be part of his mindset. And so now he's looking at, okay, if OG's out, who am I gonna start? Right. So I tried Dadier, now I'm gonna try Mo. You know what I mean? So he has an idea when these guys are taking a break, this is who's gonna come in. And this guy knows that they're gonna come in during this time. So they're prepared for it. And they're not scared, they're not worried, they're ready. And I think that's how it's going to happen throughout the season. It doesn't have to all, and it may be a stretch of 10 games where he's only playing 8 or 9. And, people might complain. But then some people have some nights off and these other guys come in. He's not playing 6 or 7. Still playing 8 or 9. But it's, fresh guys in the rotation. So it'll be, I think it'll be like that. And, admittedly so, Tom Thibodeau would just go with 6. But also, you got to admit you didn't have the bench either that this team has. So it kind of go hand in hand that way. We didn't have the bench that we have now, but Tom Thibodeau, he would play 6 or 7.
Yes.
I mean, like
his thing was by necessity. You know what I mean? Like if three guys was out, it'd still be 6 or 7 guys he played. You know what I mean? But now it's by necessity. So it's like, all right, you filling in for him, you filling in for him. But I'm up still and he playing 7.
Yeah. So Mike Brown is coming in with a little bit of a different philosophy. When you get into the playoffs, it's still going to be, in my opinion, he's going to dial it down to his 8 or 9 guys, and that's who he's going to rock with. And everybody else will get in where they fit in if they get in. And that's okay though. You know what I mean? That's okay. You're there to win basketball games. Especially come playoff time. I'm excited. I can't wait to see, to see the full rotation. And we probably won't see the full rotation for another 5 games, 10 games, or something like that, because he's still trying to figure out the guys on the team. But I can't wait to see what this rotation is going to look like. And how these guys start to come together. There's going to be some people that surprise us that do some things we didn't know they could do. Yabusele, maybe Mo, if he's getting playing time, do some things that we didn't know that they could do. Jordan Clarkson might surprise us with some things and, play under a little bit more control, or who knows, we'll see. Listen, Jordan Clarkson's going to make a lot of people pull their hair out and scream and yell and throw stuff at the TV, but he's also going to make a lot of people very, very happy because he's going to, he's going to hit some big shots and he's going to, I just don't want him to do anything crazy. I was watching the J.R. Smith documentary. It's on Amazon. And they're talking about him playing golf when he played golf, and they took a look back to when he was playing with the Cavs. They were in the finals, and I think the game was tied, and he got a rebound,
and
and
didn't put the
instead of
shot up,
kicking it to LeBron for a shot, he held the ball, right?
or put the shot up
Or put the
himself.
shot, or put the shot up.
He,
I mean,
he was trying to run the clock out
yeah,
in the
trying to
tie
run the clock
game.
out.
He
Those
thought
are the
they
type
was
of
up.
things that I can picture happening with Clarkson from time to time. Some things that you're like, what are you doing? What was you thinking about? But I think there's going to be way more positives than not.
See, I think it'll be the opposite though. Rather than him holding the ball, and thinking they up, Clarkson's gonna take a shot when you should be holding the ball and running the clock.
Yeah, and he might do that. That's what I mean. Like, it'll be something
Yeah.
like that. You know what I'm saying? That he'll probably do. You'll be like, oh my God, what was he thinking about? What was he doing? You know what I mean? Yeah, I definitely think we'll get that from Clarkson this year, but I think there'll be more positives than negatives too. And if we kind of come to expect those things from him, that's Clarkson being Clarkson. But he's gonna be a very positive addition to this basketball team, the type of lightning that we needed off the bench that we didn't have. He kind of
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, he kind of replaces what Quickly brought to the team.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. He's my personal Quickly replacement. Like the way I felt about Quickly, I think he's gonna come in and kind of bring that same exact energy with a little bit more veteran presence.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Maybe not the defender Quickly was though.
That's true. I was surprised when I learned he was 33. Yeah, I was surprised when I learned he was that old. But yeah, looking forward to this team, man. See what we're gonna be able to do. Do you expect come Wednesday everyone to be full strength, full health? So you think we may not play?
I don't think Hart plays game one.
Oh yeah, Hart. Yeah. Hart probably doesn't play. I wasn't even including Hart. I was thinking more OG, Cat, Mitch.
Yeah, I think those guys will be ready by then. Mitch including. Yeah, I think they'll all be ready. But other than Hart, yeah, I think we'll be ready.
Yeah. Any concerns about playing the double big?
Not for me personally. I think it's our best option, especially if Huckporty is in the fold in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Because I like Yabusele at the 4 more than I do at the 5.
I mean, he's a natural 4. He's a 4. He's a natural, straight up natural 4.
And I think Huckporty, even if it's 5-10 minutes, you know what I mean? I think he's shown to be at the very least serviceable. You know what I mean? To where he could play along Yabusele if need be, or in place of Karl or Mitch if he needs to. I think it's our best option though. Again, I know it's not the playoffs. They're probably not going to utilize the Hackett strategy like they would in a series, but I think that's one thing. It takes that away with him starting. You know what I mean? It takes that away because they're not going to use it early in quarters. I think it gives us our best defensive lineup. You know what I mean? To start the game, and we could adjust accordingly.
Right.
And I think he picked off right where he left off in the playoffs, Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? Like it looked like the impact has been the same in the games that he's played this preseason. So if he's gonna have that impact, yeah, let's start him. You know what I mean? We got enough depth to rest him throughout the game. He's never been a high minutes guy anyway, so I don't think it's concerning to not start him. And if we don't, what's the alternative? Is it Hart? Because that doesn't give us the 5 out. You know what I mean? He might make up for some rebounding we're missing with Mitch not there. So it's like, what's the alternative? We haven't even got to see one. Like, you know what I mean? We already seen if Mitch was available, he started in this preseason.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Kalaz said the shoot around. He's the guy who asked about the shoot around. He said, "My bad. I just meant the graphic is misspelled." It's the first time I ever noticed that.
Oh,
I guess I'm gonna need to have a conversation with my editor.
somebody is
Hey, Kalaz, I
fired.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. We'll make sure we get that fixed and taken care of. As a matter of fact, this would probably be the last time that we're last time for a while we're using this set, because we'll be back in, some of the other sets that we used. This was kind of because I was in transition, moving around. So, using StreamYard instead of OBS, but that's some technical stuff. But, we'll be back with the regular setup for game one, baby. Maybe even before game one, but we'll be back with the regular. Yeah. So, Kalaz, I appreciate that. Gotta talk to my editor. I'll give him a call right after this. Let him know, he's messing up. Might lose a job.
Back his pay.
I'm the editor, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know. Anyway, yeah, Josh Hart will definitely not be there. I expect Mitch and OG and Cat to play. As far as the double big lineup, sometimes, it may concern me from time to time, against smaller, faster lineups, faster teams or whatever. It may concern me. I think it's all going to depend on how we play defense. The types of defenses that Mike Brown is going to put out there. I think it depends on that. If we're playing some zone, we can last longer with those with the double big lineup out there. Well, I think we do need it for rebounding. I think we do need it to protect the rim. You know what I mean? So Mitch is necessary out there, and it can give a lot of teams fits as well, having such a long lineup on the floor, because defensively we should be able to keep our hands in the passing lanes. We should disrupt a lot of defenses because we have that length out there on the floor, and just make it difficult for teams to score, with that kind of length. So it can work. It can work, and I think the longer it's out there together, the more chemistry we're going to build with it. And the great thing about this basketball team is that we have the ability to put a million different types of lineups on the floor. You know what I mean? A million different types of lineups. We can put anything. We can match up with any team and be effective. With any style of play that you want to play, this Knicks team can match up and be effective. And that's one of the positives of this basketball team. And not a lot of teams have that, but this one does. You know what I mean? We can play any style of basketball with this team. So that's going to take us a long way. East Blue Jewel said expect to see some crazy lineups this season. Yeah, there's going to be some interesting ones out there on the floor. If we want to, we can go with a 6'4" and under lineup and maybe be effective. Well, I don't know if Mike Brown would do that, but you could. We get killed on the boards, but it'd be kind of fun to see it for about a minute or two, just to as an anomaly.
Anybody surprise you this offseason? Or this preseason? And the question you asked me, what do you think about Jameson?
I think he's I think Jameson. I think he's a solid player, right? Solid guy. He reminds me of a guy. I, I have him in my brain, but I can't think of his name. There was this one center that we used to always pick up a few years back. Every time, like everybody kept getting hurt. Well, maybe it was longer than a few years back, a long time ago. All of our centers kept getting hurt. And there was this one dude,
Taj Gibson.
Earl. Who?
I was
Not
joking. I said Taj
oh, not
Gibson.
I mean,
I
yeah,
know, I know.
Taj, yeah, yeah. But there was another dude though before Taj, a long time ago. I think his name was Earl or something. But I mean, he was a serviceable center. You
Slim.
know, slim dude, yeah, long and slim dude. Yep, and we kept picking him up. Like we would pick him up, have him for a season, pick him back up, have him. Our centers get hurt, pick him back up, have him on the team. Or he'd be riding the bench and then he'd end up playing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he was always in and out every time we had these center injuries. I just can't remember his name, but I think it was Earl. But he was just really serviceable, professional, serviceable, came in, got the job done, didn't complain about anything. You know what I mean? Was just a solid player. And he kind of reminds me of that. Earl Barron. Yeah, that's him. Earl Barron. That's what I'm talking about. Earl Barron. He was just a solid center. He was serviceable. But he wasn't going to do too much. He wasn't going to do too little, but he was solid. So yeah, that's who I think he is and might be in the league. As far as someone who really stood out and surprised me, I mean, our main guys, we knew what we could do. Mo is someone who just, when I see him play, I'm just like, this guy's an NBA player. You know what I mean? And deserves, to me, some time. I would love to see him in a rotation. I just think he's an NBA player. He can already do it defensively. And he may make mistakes defensively because he's a young guy, but he has the tools to do it defensively already. And you can see that he has the tools to become a decent offensive player. You know what I mean? He's a second round pick who I think is going to be a rotation player in the league, without a doubt. And, so he's been a pleasant surprise for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, pleasant surprise. I'm looking forward to seeing more from him out there.
Tonight was great. Young guy diving on the floor for loose balls. You know what I mean? That one play where I believe Bridges drove to the basket and kind of found him cutting, and he didn't go straight up with it where he should have. You know what I mean? But then he did a couple of moves and got comfortable and drew a foul. I was like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, normally a young guy messes up right there where he doesn't go right up and he had the opportunity. It's going to be a turnover. It's going to be it's going to be something bad. He turned it into something good. And I was like, all right. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. He was a pleasant surprise for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more of him. You get his offense together. I mean, he's got the tools. He's got the tools to do something nice in the league. I ain't
gonna say confidence.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say he's gonna be like a, all-star level guy or nothing like that. But he's got some tools. He's got a lot of tools. So, Mo Siakam, yeah, he's got a lot of tools. You know what I mean? And I'm impressed with him. And I'm impressed that our front office, another guy that we could pick out of the second round that may be a rotation player one day. Impressed with that.
I've been out MO.
Exactly. Well, yo, Tony, I'm gonna head up out of here for the night.
Yeah, man, good show.
Tinker around with the studio a little bit. You know what I mean? Try to get some things, how I want it to be, but
hopefully my computer's ready to get picked up on Monday, so I should be back on Monday.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Because this works so smooth, maybe I'll do something from the phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'll figure something out.
I'm trying to well, yeah, I got a lot of tinkering to do, here, but glad to be settled down. So, for those who don't know, I was like in transition for about 5 to 6 months, sleeping on couches, sleeping in cars. Nah, I wasn't sleeping in cars, I'm joking, but just bouncing around and now settled down. And also for those who don't know, should I just put it?
Hey.
Right. I am engaged, ladies and gentlemen. As a matter of fact, that lady's in the chat. Her name is Maggie Fresh. She's right there. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a nice, I don't know what's it been, 8-9 months since I've been in transition, but it's been a beautiful time, folks. It's been a beautiful time.
You didn't have to go through it alone, Sim.
I did. That's the best part of it. I didn't have to go through it alone. So I appreciate everybody. Giving me the congrats. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. So, yeah, big things happening. Great things happening.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time, and we'll see y'all later. Sunday, Monday, somewhere around there. Yes, sir. Said smiling heavy, very heavy, because you know what I mean? I got a beautiful lady. Why wouldn't I be? Come on now. You know what I mean? Anyway, I appreciate you all, ladies and gentlemen. We are out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench.